Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Sunday chat today. We'll have a chat about the AGM yesterday, WOS. I did come home with some plants, we'll look at those at the end. I've got some sad news, but it's third-hand news, although it did come from a relatively reliable source, but I will therefore not go into a lot of detail. It's effectively the end of an era that can never be replaced. So anyway, AGM yesterday went off smoothly. Everybody got voted back in, there were no objections, so nobody had to be taken outside and shot. Yeah, it all went very smoothly. We need to cut down on speeches. I mean, I cut mine down by over a third this year after last year, especially as I had a printed version of my sort of, record of the accounts for the year, and nobody wanted a copy. And again, I did that again this year, nobody wanted a copy, so we won't be doing it next year, and I will make it even shorter next year. And what I will do is summarise, and I'll have a printed sheet with the more elaborate details on if anyone wants to look at it, and I doubt if they will. I really don't think they're that interested, quite honestly. As long as we're in a healthy financial situation, which we are, although we have had a bit of a blow. A relatively short while ago, what did I have to do? We changed the class names for our competitive tables at the meetings. It used to be novice and expert, and I've never liked that. I don't like the word novice, it puts people off. So we've changed it to an open class and an experienced class, yeah? So far more nicer names. Unfortunately, the website needed changing for those little details, minor details, but keep the website up to date. But anyway, I logged in, and it dawned on me, I have to maintain two sites. There's the site that maintains the physical website, where I can edit the words and pictures and things, what people see. And then there's the domain host that allows the website to exist, sort of thing. And I thought, I'll log into there, because we must be due to renew that soon. And I logged in, and shock horror, I remember the previous secretary set that up when she decided to leave, and she did everything on a Mac, and we agreed at the committee that we want everything on Windows-based systems because it's multi-platform and multi-software, multifunctional. Mac is restrictive, yeah. So she effectively redid the website using the Wix software, but she got an incredibly good deal on the domain costings, and we got the first year free and a discount on the second 2 years, so that was paid for 3 years up front, and it didn't cost a huge amount of money. It's not only due for renewal, it's due for renewal in a few days, and the payment still had her credit card on it, which would probably have failed. So I got in and changed the payment method to our own debit card that goes with our bank account, so that will come out of there. Unfortunately, no discounts or anything, and the only way we can get it cheaper, really, because the Wix, very clever, offer huge big discounts to get you in the door, and then once you're in the door, their generated websites are not transferable. They've got you, haven't they? I hate that type of business, I really do. It's a form of cheating, quite honestly. I wonder what country they're based in. Won't be the UK, but nonetheless, it's going to cost us a lot of money, like over 500 quid for the next 3 years. We didn't even have enough in our current account to cover the payment, so I had to transfer some funds. So we've suddenly had quite a huge hit on our finances. But it's, if you spread it over 3 years, divide it by 3, it's not too bad. But yeah, that came as a bit of a shock to the rest of the people. But I said, unless anybody has the skill set to actually set up a website as elaborate as this one, with drop-down forms, fill-in forms, all that sort of stuff, mail aliases and stuff to go with the website. Unless anybody's got all that skill set, then we can't set up a new one. We're stuck with the one we've got. I certainly haven't got that skill set. I have quite a lot of it, but not all of it. And I don't see why I should, quite honestly. I do enough. So anyway, we've got a huge bill coming in any minute now. As I said, came as a bit of a shock. Just as I said, we're financially very stable. Quite honestly, if that bill had come out of the year that I was analysing, we'd have made a loss. But what I will do is I will show that as expenses split over the 3 years. So I will literally show it as it'll have to show as an actual expense, but I'll show it as a credit or something or other. I'll work it out so that the values go over 3 years, so that it doesn't hit us so hard. However, it will in this initial year. So that was a bit of a shock. So apart from that, it was all okay. Quite a few of the new people that we got at our 50th anniversary show with our special deal are still coming, and some of them put plants in the auction, and a fair few of them bought plants in the auction as well, so they are actually joining in. One person actually got in touch and said, can you say what time the auction starts? Because they only wanted to come to that. So they turned up, you know, sort of part way through the AGM bit, and then joined in with the auction and bought actually quite a few plants. Lynn spent the most money. She bought quite a few. Now hang on, did she? No, she actually sold the most. Sorry, I tell a lie. She made the most money. I bid on a box of 6 plants from Lynn, but there was one guy there who was obviously attempting to build up a collection of Masdevallias, and basically he bid on every Masdevallia that came up, and there were quite a lot, and he was prepared to go quite high, so he outbid me. So I didn't get that one, but I did get some others, so we will have a look at those in a minute. One of them, now I've just had a look at them to put them in my notes, and one of them is actually one that I've had before, and it was from Lynn, and it's from Lynn again, and it wouldn't grow in the other place because it was too warm for it, so hopefully it'll do well now, and it's actually got a flower spike on it. Yay! Anyway, so that was that, and right, health stuff. There isn't anything to report until I've had this scan, apart from the fact I'm not strictly sticking to this 0 carbs diet. However, I am sticking to a low carbs diet, and yesterday it went out the window. I had my normal couple of eggs for breakfast, and then for lunch I had prawn and mayo sandwiches, so bread, but there was some fish in there. Whether it was mayo light or not, I don't know, but mayo's based on eggs, come to think of it. Anyway, so that wasn't ideal. That, you know, it's the first bread I've had for over a fortnight. And then at our break, I had a non-decaf coffee, black coffee, because they didn't have decaf, so I'm not going all afternoon without a drink, so I had a normal coffee. That's the first caffeine I've had for 2 weeks. The meetings are once a month. This is not a big deal. And then when I got home for tea, I thought I'd like to have a bottle of wine over this weekend. And what can I have with a glass of wine? Nothing out of the freezer. I'm going to have some cheese and biscuits. So again, not exactly ideal for the diet, and a glass of wine, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then for lunch today, I will have a bit more wine, and then I will finish it with my meal tonight, which is a nice steak. And with that steak, I'm going to have some fries. And I'm just sort of thinking along the lines, it's a treat. You know, 5 weekdays I have next to nothing to eat and stick to the, you know, 0 carbs and all that. So at the weekend we'll let go a little bit. Can't live life, you know, without any form of enjoyment. So that's that. But the tablets that I take to reduce my cholesterol, you have to bear in mind, my blood test showed that it was actually okay. It was actually around 4. 6 I think is the magic line, whereas if you go above that you need to do something about it. So my cholesterol's actually okay. So the tablet I'm taking for that isn't, strictly speaking, absolutely essential. And there is a warning that it said you should avoid alcohol when taking these tablets. Now they last 24 hours, so I would have taken the previous one Friday evening. This was Saturday evening, and I thought, actually I'm just going to miss that tablet off and have a glass of wine. And I will miss that tablet again this evening, because I will have finish this bottle off, you know, with my tea tonight with another glass of wine. So I'll have missed 2 consecutive ones of those. I'll start again on Monday, and I don't think that's going to do any harm at all. I wouldn't want to miss the blood thinners, although, okay, my home gadget, my home cuff, you know, plugs into the laptop USB thing. It's not exactly a professional jobby, but it gives me a rough idea of whether my blood pressure's going up or down. It at least shows the movement. And this morning, it was the lowest it's ever been, and if it keeps going down, I will have to phone somebody up and ask what's going on here, because it had dropped below 120. The average was 118, and that was over 78, so just under 80 and just under 120, which is in the optimum range. But it's a false reading on the grounds that I wouldn't naturally give that reading if I wasn't being aided and abetted by popping pills. So there we go. And the other thing is, today, Monday was my weigh-in day. I thought if I move my weigh-in day to Sunday, then I can tell you good people how I'm doing on a week-by-week basis. And at the weigh-in this morning, I've lost 4 pounds. And I think that's really careless of me. I don't know where it's gone, because it don't show. Anyway, 4 pounds is a start. You know, I've only just started doing all this. So that's where we are with that, and I've had no notification of when this scan's going to take place yet. If I don't hear towards the end of this coming week, I think I will contact somebody, because they said you should hear, you know, in a week or so. Very vague, isn't it, a week or so. Anyway, so that's that done. Now, the sad news. Those of you in the UK will have heard of this at least, and others through me, if not through other people. The Ridlington Orchid project, based at Ridlington School, originally set up and run for 40 or 50 years odd, I think, by Simon Pugh Jones, with their own greenhouses, their own labs. They produce their own seed, very, very extensive and incorporated part of the school and the school curriculum, with open days every now and again where the students show you around. It's quite embarrassing really. Some 10-year-old kid taking you around the orchids, and this is so and so. They're very knowledgeable. Simon Pugh Jones retired, and he now runs an orchid retail business out on the Isle of Portland, and a lady took it over, member of staff at the school, so we all hoped the project as such would continue. She's left, apparently under a cloud. I won't elaborate, because as I said, this information is third hand, and the school have decided to abandon the project completely. So they're getting rid of the greenhouses, the orchids, the labs, possibly, I don't know, they might find another use for them, I doubt it. And that probably means their interactions with the other conservancy Conservation, that's the word, it's in there somewhere, more coffee. Conservation projects that they were working in collaboration with groups of students in other countries like Africa. Yeah? Well, are those just going to go as well? So this project has been running successfully, winning gold at many shows for many years. I've filmed many of their displays at Wisley, at RHS London shows, with their gold medal awards at Malvern, the international show, and it looks like it's just gone. So they say all things must come to an end, but we were hoping it would continue under new management, so to speak. But something's gone wrong, and it looks like the whole thing's going to get abandoned, which is very sad, quite honestly. If you look back, if you search on the word Rivlington in my orchid videos, that word should come up, so you might actually find a video of looking round their glass houses. They are difficult to film because I can't get any of the children in the video. It's not allowed. So they're mainly sort of, you know, like quite close into the plants, because when they have an open day, the kids are everywhere showing people around and that, so, and they mustn't be in videos. So you have to have written parents' permission and all that sort of stuff, because it's on school premises, you know. It's not like filming some people playing ball in the park or something. It's a different thing altogether, as it's part of a school. So anyway, that's that. It sounds like it's gone. But, yeah, sad news, quite honestly. Not good at all. I hope that when they decide to get rid of the orchids, somehow or other they go to what I will call good homes. Now some of those are monsters. You need a truck. They probably won't even fit out the door anymore because they've been grown inside the ground. I mean, one of the first orchids you see, you go into the cold section first, and there's benches down the side and across the end, but in the middle there's like an island with a single coledogyny on. It's like 4 foot by 3 foot by 4 foot. It's an absolute monster. Nobody's going to lift that. That's going to take quite a few people to lift, and most people wouldn't have anywhere to put that sort of thing, you know. I mean, if I had it in here, I'd have to treat it as a roundabout, you know. It's ridiculous. So we shall see, but I hope Simon Pugh Jones gets a good look in if they, you know, as and when they decide the orchids are going to go, and I hope he gets a good, you know, dip into there to take to his business, where they will be looked after, maintained, and more importantly, propagated. So some of the stuff in their glass houses was pretty rare, to say the least. Right, so that's that. What else? Nothing much really. Several of the Wessex Orchid Society, they've been getting stuff together and working towards the AGM. They don't get any rest. They're off up to the NEC on Tuesday to set up our display and everything. It's all got to be set up ridiculously early. The difference with that between this one and Malvern is, first of all, it's a 4-day event instead of a 3-day event, and because it's part of Gardener's World, the setup and everything arrangements are quite different. To such an extent, our show manager and his daughter, who have taken charge of our displays over the years, millennia, he's decided he's not even going to go. He doesn't want any part of it, so other people have had to try and step in. So they're off. They will be going for setup for the judging symposium, those that are judges, and then they will be coming back. So my bit, which is Sunday, packing the plants up and bringing them home, I'm going up with Hannah and another member of the Orchid Society. In fact, 2 members of the Orchid Society are going up together as well, and one of those has volunteered to bring plants back that belong to Lynn and Tony, who was the show manager but not for this one, because they live quite a long way away from where I'll be taking the plants back. So not only are our plants in two different places, so we've got to find them, yeah, they're not just in one place isolated, they're in two different parts of the display. I'll have a list of all their names and everything. We've got to find them and then decide whose is whose and who's taking which ones. That's going to be a right faff, I can see it coming. Especially as everybody's going to want to just go home. Anyway, so that's my bit. But the passes and wristbands don't get issued until the people get there. So I've got to go. Oh, I forgot Mojo was outside. Oh, he got a bit upset earlier. I put the hose round my bonsai and I'd forgotten he was out there and I didn't see him. He was asleep by the bamboo. Put the hose on the bonsai, absolutely soaked him. He was not happy. He just likes going out now in the morning. There's a brief glimpse of sunshine in that corner where the bamboo is for about an hour or so, sort of, I don't know, about 8:45 to about 10 o'clock, maybe a bit longer than that, I don't know. And then the sun goes behind the big tree and then comes round later in the day when of course it's going to be a lot hotter. But he quite likes having a snooze in that morning sun now, which is nice. I like him being out in the fresh air. It's got to be better for him than just stuck in here. Yeah, so yeah, he didn't appreciate the hose. Yeah, so I've got to go to Alan, who's now taking over a lot of setting up the plant display, and a lot of his plants will be in it. I've got to go to his place on Saturday, which is a nuisance, but I've got to get all our paperwork and everything so that we can get in on Sunday and get into the exhibitors car park and everything. So I've now got to do that extra trip on Saturday to pick up that stuff. And I will pick up all of the stuff to pack the plants in, to bring them home, including his trolley. So, you know, trays of plants and stuff like that go on a trolley rather than having to carry them out to the car, which could be, looking at the car park, quite a distance. So that will be good. And then I run the plants back to his place again on Monday morning. So, so it's all a faff, but as I say, I'll be going up with Hannah. It's part of a birthday treat really, to have a day out on me. We're not rushing up there, you know, we'll get up there when we get there, and first thing we'll probably want to do is have something to eat. Probably cost a bloody fortune, but so be it, it's a treat. And then we'll have a look round, and I'll be filming some stuff as yet unknown. I haven't been to this show before. Certainly at Malvern, the fact that we were part of what is, strictly speaking, an agricultural show, there wasn't much else to film apart from what was in the Orchid, you know, marquee originally for quite a few years, and then into the main hall. But yeah, this time, you know, there's lots of other floral displays and everything, and the show gardens and everything. It's like a mini Chelsea. So there will be things to film, and it won't all be orchids. So I'll see what I can do. Let me just let this thing in. Come on then. Dried out now. I don't know why I talk to him. He's deaf as a post. He can't hear me. Poor old thing. Burbling away. Yes, I think we'll have a look at the plants now. And I think I'll take the camera down. I find it easier to show you plants with the camera on one hand and using my other hand to turn plants round and possibly pick them up and things like that. There are 4 of them. We have a Coleogene, an Oncidium, a Masdevallia and a Dracuvalia. So I'm just finishing this before it's totally stone cold. Stay. Right, wobbling around for a minute or two while I transfer this. Flip my screen round so that I can see what I'm doing. You've just come in. So because I'm not sitting down, you want to go straight out again. Come on then. It's not like I've got anything else to do, is it? No, you don't want to go out. I thought that was coming. You're just being a nuisance, aren't you? Hey, yes you are. Right, and oh, I forgot to mention this. Last couple of days with the sun on the roof, the temperature in here has gone up a degree or two, and the humidity's dropped down below what I find acceptable. So for those days, I went and got this little, it's a home humidifier basically. Nonetheless, it works pretty good. At the other place, before I got the Hurricane Hector, the huge big one, I used to have 3 of these on the go. But in here, it's only for about 4 hours. So I'm not setting up the humidistat and all that sort of stuff under control. It'll be fully manual. And what I did was I raised the thermostat for the heater and the fan up to 40 degrees, which switched it on and then turned the heater off so that just the fan was running, and I switched the humidifier on. So the fan was distributing the moist air, and within 10 minutes the humidity had come up to acceptable, and within half an hour it was starting to get quite humid in here. But with that temperature I was quite happy with that. So that's new. You haven't seen that before. It's absolutely filthy. It's been down in the shed. I might actually give it a clean. It does look a bit manky, doesn't it? It works, that's the main thing. Yes, so that's an addition for when we get that, the temperatures climb up. Right, so let's have a look then. This, I think, originally came from Rislington, as I've just been mentioning, simply because they have an absolute monster, and this can grow into a monster and can be very vigorous. Now obviously this is a small division, yeah, a back bulb, another bulb with leaves, and a climbing new growth, unfortunately. Now this is one of these that it starts to grow and then the spike comes out the centre. Now whether I'm going to get a spike on this small division, I don't know. I doubt it, quite honestly. But it's been potted in such a way that it's climbing. If you look at the way this has been potted, that's just been done wrong, hasn't it? If these 2 bulbs were upright, then this would be touching the media, and any roots that come out would get into the media. Now most cotyledons really do not like being disturbed, but this is classed as quite vigorous, so I might actually just gently change its shape in the pot. Pot's a little large actually for a division that size, but it's Cotyledon holochilla. You can look it up if you want to see blooms. Obviously I haven't got any, I've only just got the plant, but it does grow pretty big. It's along the lines of cristata, I suppose, not the way it blooms, but its sort of vigour and the size it can get to. So that's that. And then here, this was from my friend Helen, and it's a twinkle, and it's actually pink profusion. Now given that I have 2 very small Oncidium types that are probably twinkles, but I haven't got the tags, but even if I had the tags I wouldn't have had this one. Now she was pleased that she said, I'm pleased it's gone to a good home, and her temperature ranges and humidity are almost identical to mine, so this isn't getting any form of dramatic climate change by coming here. It's a nice plant, and it's got 1, 2, it's got 3 new growths on it, all that will hopefully produce roots. So there we go. I mean, it hasn't got a pot full of roots, but there are some roots going down into the pot, and it's in a media that I'm happy with, so we don't have to worry about that one. And then this Masdevallia, I think this was from Lynn. This is Fuchsia Dawn, and basically I said, what colour is it? She said it is actually fuchsia, that sort of, you know, magenta type colour, reasonable size blooms, but I mean it's a growing division. We've got a new growth pushing up here. This is a new growth just opening its leaf. This is the previous new growth with its almost full-size leaf. So it's a growing plant, so it should be okay. So that's that one. And then this one with the spike is Dracuvalia Aletta Page. And those of you who've got a good memory will know that I had this once before. And I just couldn't get it to grow. I really couldn't get it to grow. However, we've got a spike, and what we have is a good set of roots. And I mean a good set of roots. There is no reason for that plant to fail whatsoever. And we've got new growths coming up. There's a pair of new growths there. Yeah, so it is in growth. It's got a spike. That spike is on the base of that one, I think. Anyway, so those are the plants I've got. It's an additional 4 plants. So another couple of Masdevallias, and well, Dracuvalia, same sort of thing basically. A new Oncidium miniature, Twinkle. They bloom in the autumn, so those should spike on the growths that are growing now. Once they mature, we should get spikes on those. Plant's plenty big enough. As for the Coleogeny, I don't know whether this growth is going to bloom or not, and we'll have to make an adjustment for that. I don't want, because it's a small division, I don't want wasted roots. If roots come out from this rhizome here, they will probably fail because they won't get into the media. And I don't want to fill the pot right up with media to meet the growth. So what I will probably do is tip it. Yeah? I might get away with that. I don't think that's been in that pot long. It doesn't feel like it's rooted very well. So disturbing it isn't really going to do any harm. The 2 Masdevallias, they don't need touching. They haven't long been in these pots. And they're in a media that is perfectly adequate for them. I don't need to play with it. But here's an idea that I haven't used yet. There's bark in the bottom of the pot, but where the base of the plant and the roots are, it's moss and perlite without bark. So the main mix that's growing in is moss and perlite. My mix tends to be small bark moss and perlite. So I shall have a good think about that. So there we go. There isn't much else going on in here. Things are more going over than coming on, but we do have some spikes and things that you would have seen in yesterday's everything. Was it in yesterday? No, I posted it late Friday, didn't I? So everything in bloom. The last video anyway, whenever it was. And day off tomorrow, so no orchid videos tomorrow. I might get something done in the garden and film it, I don't know. This area along here is starting to get overgrown again. If I let it get too far, it becomes a big job. But basically the camellia needs a little bit of a trim before it gets too tall, but I don't want to take too much off because I'll lose blooms for next year. The laurel is getting big, and so is the pyracantha, the firethorn. They've got large new growths coming out. They need taking right back. I need to keep that right back against the fence. And then we've got the other laurel in the corner over there, which needs a little bit of a trim. So that whole side needs looking into. It's not a big job. It's just trimming with the secateurs. And if I've got my bag holder with a bag in it, there's very little bending or anything because the pieces I cut off I just drop in the bag, you know. So be very little clearing up because the pieces I cut will go straight in the bag. There won't be anything lying around on the ground to any extent. So there we go. Are you really going to go out this time, or are you just winding me up? You going out? Come on, you. Right, there we go then, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.